thing on? Yeah, it's on. Okay, so at the top, you're going to write sink or float. Because this is the next lab you're going to do. Can you see my head? Yes. Okay. So at the top, sink or float. Okay, make sure you're not talking while I'm talking because we're in whole class. Whole class means raise your hand if you have something to say. Okay, so everybody has a chance to talk without being talked over.
Alright.
Okay, so first of all, this is your title, sink or float. Okay, and we're talking about water. You're probably going to be tested with sink or float and water. So we're going to talk about this water because the activity, the lab you're going to do after you finish the one that we had on Friday should take you a little bit of time to finish because that's where we were here. Somebody is talking and you need to turn it off. It's interrupting me. Here's where we were on Friday, where you were going to the stations. Okay, the first thing you did is you read the maps and you wrote it down. And the next thing you did is you were finding the before, you were finding the after, and then you found the volume of the solid. And this was called displacement. Remember that? Okay, then you did your calculation. Density is mass divided by volume. Then you wrote the answers in here. Well, I need another box. Then you wrote your answers in there. Okay? Now, you're going to do another lab called sink or float. Okay? Water is 1 gram per milliliter. That is the density of water. 1 gram per milliliter. This is the density. Density of water. You need to memorize that. It's pretty easy to remember. 1. Just remember 1. Just 1. Okay? That means for 1 gram for every milliliter, that is the density of water. Okay, so if I draw me a tank. Okay, well, we'll just call it some type of tank. Okay? And then, doesn't matter what shape it is, I'm going to put one shape down here. Okay, I'm going to put one shape up here. I'm just choosing colors. You don't have to match my colors. And then we'll put one here. Okay, so the density of water is 1 gram per milliliter. Okay? So is this orange more dense than water or less dense than water? It's more dense. So beside this, put somebody needs to stop talking. Whoever that is, you're interrupting me on a video. That means when somebody watches it, they've got to see me tell you to stop talking. So please stop. This is more dense than water. Okay, so it's more than 1 gram per milliliter. That's what that means. It's more than 1. Okay? What about this one here?
1 gram per milliliter. No, it's in
You're
between.
almost there.
It's in between.
There you go, Ricky. It's in between. This is called suspension. S-U-S-P-E-N-S-I-O-N. It's suspense. So this is going to be in between a 1. It's going to be a 1 plus. It's going to be 1 point something. It's going to be more than 1. But it's not going to be such a high density number that it sinks to the bottom. It's going to be really close to 1. Usually like a 1.1. It's a little bit more than 1. Okay, so what would this be? More or less than 1? This is less dense than water. So this number is going to be less than 1. example 0.98. It's going to be less than 1, example 0.98. So if it floats, it's going to be less than the number 1. If it sinks, it's going to be more than the number 1. Pretty easy, isn't it? It really is easy. See, all you need to remember is this is less than 1, this is more than 1. Okay, so I'm going to give you some numbers, and you're going to write the numbers down, and I'm not going to tell you the answer, but you're going to write them down, and you're going to tell me if it sinks or if it floats. So here we go. I'm going to write some things down. Okay, there's 4 of them. Number 1, 1.19. I just said you're going to write it down. 2, 0.52. 3, 9.0. Number 4, 1 gram per milliliter. Number 4 is a little tricky. That's why you have 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. If it's the same as water, then it would be
Suspension. Oh, it's in the middle.
yeah. Okay, do you have them written down?
Oh.
Okay. 1.19 gram per milliliter, 0.52 grams per milliliter, 9.0 grams per milliliter, and 1 gram per milliliter. This is for sink or float. So what you're going to do next after your density lab that we checked today. Okay, so what would number 1 be? Sink or float?
Sink.
Sink. It's more than 1. Okay, what would number 2 be?
Sinks.
Is it more than 1?
Float.
Float. It's less than 1. What would number 3 be?
Oh, sink.
Sink. What do you think this one would be?
Suspension.
Suspension. It's the same, so it's going to suspend. Because it's the same as water, so it's going to suspend in water. Remember the bowling balls? Some of them suspended? It was the exact same density as water. Okay, questions? Sink or float's pretty easy. If it's more than 1, it's going to sink. If it's less than 1, it's going to float. If it's exactly 1, it's going to suspend. Okay, all right, that's it for that one today.